Hi everybody! I'm going to be talking about the ego today, if I can get my computer to work, because I recorded this for 26 minutes long, talking about it, and then it just apparently didn't record the audio, like at all. So I just sat there and was like, and, so, and then, I'm just going to go ahead and explain why my damn plant looks so junky back there. It's gotten so big that I had to brace it with a Amazon box. So it looks junky, just going to go ahead and throw that out there. And then I've got Yoshi, who decided he wanted to join in. So, hi, hey, say hi, Yoshi. He's like, He doesn't want to say hi. So, he's being a nuisance. But anyways, I'm going to make this damn video again. And if the audio doesn't record, then I give the hell up. Apparently, I am not supposed to make a video today on the ego. So, it's a lesson on the ego, I guess. Anyways, so, this was slightly in response to a video that my friend Sasha made, who made a video in response to a video that a woman named Gigi made about narcissism, and then in particular about pinpointing if your spiritual leader is a narcissist. And then Sasha just made a general overview in response to Gigi's video about narcissism. And then so, my video will be very, very little about in response to that. I'm primarily going to be discussing the ego, but that ties into narcissism. I've been wanting to make a video about the ego for a while, and just kind of saw this as the opportunity to do it, and it felt right, and I'm trying to get comfortable, because I'm just had it today. So, anywho. But I will be talking about narcissism some, because I have a bachelor's degree in psychology. So we will be discussing that a little bit. But I will also be discussing my personal views on the ego. And so, anyways, also, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. This will be my personal views. If you don't like them, don't just click off. If you disagree, I don't want to fucking argue, just go. I'm here to potentially give people some further guidance on how to better, deal with any ego struggles that they may be dealing with, and also shed some enlightenment about narcissism and how people may further recognize a narcissist and if someone is being abused by one. So yeah, this video is intentional and purposeful, and so if you are here to argue or be a shithead, just go. Not dealing with that shit. I'm tired of feeling like I have to be timid about it, and I'm not anymore, so I'm here to make YouTube videos and put out content that people enjoy, and, if you want some content that, if you want some certain sort of content, feel free to email me. Because I think that the reason that I'm not really getting as much feedback from you guys is because I've realized that I haven't put my email on here. And that's my fault. And I will be, from now on, putting my email down in the description box. Won't I, Yoshi? That has been my fault, and I apologize, guys. So that way you guys can better contact me. Because if you are subscribed to my numerology forecasts, then you have my email and have the ability to reply to that, by the way, which if you guys ever have any feedback about the numerology forecast, you can always just directly reply to that forecast, and it'll directly email me back, by the way. So, and also, just to remind you guys, if you got that forecast, I think some people might have overlooked it. One of my friends told me that she was just so excited that she overlooked it. So if you did, by any chance, there was a coupon code in there. Sorry, guys, if you're not subscribed, you didn't get it. But otherwise, there's also still the $10 sale that I'm doing until the end of May. So that is also something you can hop onto. Anyways, so the links for Sasha's cool video, which is like super awesome, and you really should watch it, will be in the description, as well as Gigi's video. Both videos I highly recommend that you watch, especially if you are more interested in the subject matter of narcissists, because my video will not be dealing with that really. I mean, it will, but it won't. So right now, this will be the primary area in which it will be dealing with it. So basically, having a bachelor's degree in psychology, what I can tell you is that, yes, narcissists have a disorder. That is if they are, a true narcissist, and you're not just saying that because they're a shithead and selfish. I mean, there's a difference between someone who's just being a dick and they're, being a selfish person. But you will know. I'm telling you, you will know when someone is a bona fide narcissist. I cannot get comfortable. I'm getting irritated. I just want to make this damn video. I've been, already been through making it once. But anyhow, she's giving me a hard way to go now. Quit acting up. But anyways, so it is in the personality disorder spectrum, which means that rather than a cognitive disorder or a mental disorder like anxiety or depression, it is a personality disorder. It affects how someone reacts necessarily. It affects how they act as a person rather than like how they perceive. I mean, it does affect all these things, but a personality disorder is much different than depression and anxiety. I'm sure you understand that. I just don't want to go into all this difficult sort of like jargon and you be confused. But my point here is that basically, to narrow it down, a narcissist is someone who is very, very self-absorbed and manipulative. They use both of those characteristics to use other people and abuse, and through that, they can be very potentially dangerous. Not always, but often time, because they will overrun and abuse and take advantage of people for their own personal gain. So, I said this in my original video, and since I'm trying to replay all the important things that I said originally, I'm going to go ahead and say this now. Yes, narcissists in the spiritual community is a problem. Why? Because spiritual communities are an area in which people seek catharsis. Why? Because spirituality is where people seek healing. If you have something horrific happen to you, what aspect in your life are you most likely probably going to try and uplift yourself? Through your spirituality? It doesn't matter if you're Christian, it doesn't matter if you're pagan, it doesn't matter if you're Buddhist. You're probably going to run back to your sense of spirituality and religion whenever something traumatic happens to you. And there's going to be the person who's a narcissist going, I've got what you need. I can help you. I can show you the way why you're you're struggling. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. But they glamorize it. They tell you everything you want to hear. And I'm not going to go through all this shit, because you need to watch Sasha's video and Gigi's, because they will tell you everything you need to hear. But, that's why if you are someone who is very into the spiritual community and you are wanting someone to help you, look for people who are honest. They will not claim that shit. When I send out my ethics, the first thing I do is let them know, I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm not going to tell you the damn fortune. Not fortune, rather, but the future. I'm not going to tell you the future. I'm not going to claim to be some all-knowing psychic. I'm just going to give you guidance, and you're going to do whatever you want to do with it that you want to do. That's what I'm here to do, is to help you along your journey. I'm not going to make the journey for you. I'm not going to give you the gift. I'm not going to make your life for you. And, you know, I've had people come to me who expect more of me than what I can give, and I'll let them know that I can't tell you that. You know, I've had people run into my DMs to ask me to tell them when they're going to get married and shit. And I'm not going to tell you that. I don't know that. Okay? And I'm certainly not going to fucking take your money and lie to you to tell you that. But there sure as hell is going to be somebody in the community who will. If you really want to find that out. But it won't be me. And so, my last note about that is that narcissists are not just rampant in the spiritual community. They're everywhere because it is a it's a disorder in people. So narcissists are everywhere. And I feel it's important to note that. Because, you know, I don't want you guys watching this video and just sitting there thinking, God, I better be careful about the next tarot reader I go to. Or the next person I go to get some counseling from. No, you need to be careful about your next boyfriend or girlfriend, especially if you're an empath. You need to be careful about your friends, because especially if you're somebody who, like I said, is an empath or just sensitive or vulnerable, because these people will see that in you. If you're somebody who's very kind or whatever, narcissists, they sense that in people. They sense people that they can manipulate and abuse. If you're somebody who always gives that person the second chance, gives them the benefit of the doubt, or is willing to uplift that person, they will run you into the fucking ground. And that's how you can pinpoint a narcissist, too, because they will fucking... If you can't tell, I have known some narcissists. So, yeah. And I don't want anybody to have to deal with that. So, if you think you might have one, or are just curious about some more information about narcissism, you can feel free to email me, and I will definitely discuss it with you and try and help you. So like I said, my email will be in the description. And so anyways, you know, with that being said, that's all I have to say about it. And if you guys want to watch more about it, please, 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 please watch Sasha's and Gigi's video. So, now I want to get into the discussion about my actual video, which is the ego. The ego is super, super, super important. At least to me. Because it is like a topic that, yeah, it gets discussed, but I feel like it doesn't really get discussed. It's just like, yeah, the ego. The ego, yeah, the ego. The ego's cool, the ego's not cool. Don't fuck with the ego. Or, yeah, you need to be in the ego. The ego should be, yeah, whatever. So there's no happy medium. Either people feel you should really, really be obsessed with your ego, or you should not. And I don't feel that way. Now, I will reiterate this one last time. So if anyone gets saucy with me, I'm not fucking reading it, and I'm not going to indulge you, so don't start. This is just my opinion, and I'm not tolerating anybody's mindless negative bullshit anymore. I've dealt with it on Periscope. I'm not dealing with it on here. I'm just doing my thing from now on. So, this is just my opinion, and it is collected from my eclectic spiritual views, which is witchcraft, Buddhism, and then also my background in psychology. So this is what you're getting a mix of here. Just so you get an idea of where I am rooted in my views here, okay? Now, when I see most people talk about the ego, like I said, there is either the idea that you should completely disown your ego, essentially, which means that you should sort of have this emptiness in terms of your ego, that it should be disintegrated because it is toxic. It kind of rules you when you allow it to. do sort of agree that you should not allow your ego to control you. I do not agree with the fact that you should not
have an ego at all. Then there's also the notion that you should be like completely enveloped in your ego. No, that's disgusting. Because every time I've seen somebody completely enveloped in their ego, it's from pure insecurity. They actually are not truly embracing their ego whatsoever. They're just completely insecure and a huge asshole. And that usually is like a baby narcissist. They're not truly narcissistic, though. I don't think it's important. I mean, I really think it's important to not just sit there and, like, casually apply disorders to people, which is something that really gets on my nerves, by the way. People, like, casually, like, throwing disorders everywhere, like, oh my god, what a retard. Like, when that is towards applying that to somebody who would, in their mind, be Down syndrome. Like, yeah, I get it if that's just for being, like, dumb. But if you're applying that with, like, your mental imagery of what a Down syndrome person would be, no. Or, like, oh my god, they're so bipolar. No. Or, pretty sure that girl is so schizo. Like, unless you're genuinely concerned, like, I think Susan might be schizophrenic, and I'm really concerned for her, and I want to encourage her to, like, maybe go see a therapist. Don't fucking say that shit. So, don't casually imply that everybody's a narcissist just because they're a selfish asshole. Alright? Now, with that being said, most people I've seen that are completely egocentric are very, very insecure. And my point being here is that I think that unless you achieve a sort of balance between the two, then there's no sort of pureness with the ego. And I think that you can achieve a pureness of the ego, and that, to me, is ideally what you should have. Now, this is where I am very sad that I am redoing this damn video, because I talked my little heart out in the original one, and I had so much juicy bits, juicy morsels, if you will, that was so good about the ego. And now my little brain is just frazzled. I'm trying to recover all this important info for you guys, because I felt like I had so much good stuff to say. So, with that being said, let's get back to the topic here. To summarize, feel that you should embrace a state of balance with your ego. I do not feel that you should discard your ego, and I do not feel that you should be controlled by your ego, that you should have a gratuitous ego. I think that's disgusting. And I think it is also equally disturbing to have no sense of ego and be empty. The reason being is because either or will get you into trouble. And I feel that sort of state of imbalance is why most people are in trouble all the time. I'm honest, and I understand that I fall on the spectrum in which I feel that I'm not embracing my ego enough, and I am currently working on that. Because I'm honest, and I'm always, like, understanding and seeking out in which ways that I can be improving myself, because I love that. Because I want to grow. I want to be better. I'm always seeing ahead and looking at that future self in which I'm happier. I am feeling better, and I want to be there. And then I look presently and I'm like, what do I need to be doing in order to do that? To be there. And I know that part of that right now is to embrace my ego more. And so, with that being said, I feel that when you don't embrace your ego at all, then that's sort of saying, like, trying to live without any sort of spine. I feel that the ego is almost like the spine of the soul. And that if you don't have an ego at all, then that is sort of
missing a necessary part of the soul's setup. And really, the only time I feel that it's maybe even appropriate to be just completely devoid of a ego is if you are someone who has consciously and purposefully made the choice to just live without one, like if you are a monk. Because you have devoted a life to being devoid of an ego, and your life is dedicated to such an intense spiritual practice that you don't even need an ego. Do you understand? A monk doesn't even need an ego. They spend like half their day in meditation, and then the rest of their day is dedicated to mindfulness and, you know, embracing their spirituality, and then like reaching that out to others, or and other things in which they do not need an ego at all. But the rest of us, no, we don't do that. The idea of any sort of that intense selflessness, yeah, right. Half of us couldn't even like donate $20 to a charity right now because we're so selfish. So yeah, right. So, with that being said, most of us who are devoid of an ego is purely unintentional, and that's why it's so unhealthy. But most of us who are purposefully trying to overly embrace an ego is purposeful, but out of insecurity. We're trying to fluff our feathers up, if you will. And so, even then, you're still not balanced. Your ego is still off-centered. It's almost, you're still having that, it's like having your soul spine be made of, like, I don't know, like water or just ice, just something so fragile that the second that ego takes a blow, it just shatters. Because if you see someone who has a large ego, the fucking second it takes a blow, they're just like, how dare you? It's like if you had a truly harmonious ego, you wouldn't even be bothered by that. And I don't even claim to have a huge ego, which is why
I'm so sensitive. Because I know I don't have a huge ego. But people who have huge egos, oddly enough, seem to be quite sensitive. For to have such a strong ego, you really crumble fast. So that's why I think myself, my personal views, just to do a 360 and get back to a summary here, I feel that in order to achieve being in peace, I imagine that we have a core. Like this. This is our soul. It's a core, basically. Just a nice visualization here. I did this in another video originally. Okay. Just quit. God, he's worse than a cat. Anyhow, you like got my hair all frazzled. So, I imagine a nice little core. Here's our consciousness. Most people struggle to like dive below. And the thing is that when they deal with shit, bad experiences, whatever, they usually just kind of deal with it on a face value level, and then they bury it, and it just ferments at the soul level. And then there's the ego down in there, and all that stuff is just kind of just a big giant chaotic mess of the ego, self, and soul. And then you got all that nasty shit of residual negativity and stuff just fermenting on top of it. And in order to really start overcoming all that negativity and feeling truly at peace with yourself, I feel that you have to achieve balance. You have to achieve peace, harmonious balance between yourself and your ego within the core of yourself. There can't not be an ego, and it can't be out of control either. It has to be
balanced with yourself. Your sense of self, rather. Not yourself. Your sense of self is what I mean. Self. Quotation, self. And, which is like the more conscious separation of your ego. Whereas your ego is more of like that, the more primal needs and selfishness. And so, when it comes to your ego, you need to have a balance. It needs to be present. It needs to have space. It's important. But you need to know when to check your shit. You need to know when that you need to calm down and be like, whoa, okay, I'm being a little overbearing or whatever. But you also need to know when to appreciate yourself. You need to know when that you're not giving yourself enough credit, when you need to strengthen yourself, when to know to say, hey, I'm doing a good job right now, or whatever you need in terms of strengthening your ego. So it needs to hold space in your core. And once you do that, you'll start to feel an ability to trust yourself more. You won't feel so sensitive when people have to give you a blow to your ego, because your ego truly will be strong. You won't take stuff so personal anymore, because you'll understand that just because someone insulted you doesn't mean that their opinion has to truly reflect how you feel about yourself. But you also will know when you need to make changes for yourself too. You won't be afraid to be so unaware of yourself that you need to learn important lessons that may involve criticizing yourself. So, with that being said, guys, Yoshi and I say thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed. And if I stop this recording and it has no sound, I'm going to cry. Yoshi says hi. Say hi, Yoshi! Well, he says bye, rather, because this video's over. What are you doing? But anyways, so, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if anybody wants to discuss further with me, remember, my email is lunecherie@gmail.com. And I have a sale, and Sasha and Gigi's videos will be linked in the description. And feel free to comment if you want to discuss more, or if you want to discuss more in private. Like I said, email me if you need help, like talking more about this stuff, whatever. But otherwise, subscribe, because like I said, YouTube is a platform that I'm definitely going to be working on more. So anyways, namaste.